Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Boss Babes Healing, where we are loving on each other by healing together and putting God first in everything that we do. On this episode, this awesome episode, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Bishop Kevin Foreman. He is in the community. He is a bishop in the church in Atlanta now.
Yes,
And
yes.
he is a philanthropist. He is an author. He is a true entrepreneur, a true strong man of God. If there's anything I can say about him, he is consistent. He is on fire, and he is here to change lives. Bishop Kevin Foreman, how are you today?
I am amazing. So glad to be with you today. Love what you're doing. Let me just say,
Thank
love
you.
what you're doing to empower people, to build people. I think it's amazing. And I love the name of the show. I
Thank
think it's
you.
so important that at the end of the day, I view life like this. If we got a pulse, God still got a plan, and we got to do
That's right.
everything while we can. Everything that we can while we can.
That's right. That's right. So let's jump right into it. We don't believe in
Let's go.
wasting time here, Boss Babes.
I
We're
love
going to
it.
get right into what it's all about. And the first question I wanted to ask as I did my research, as I didn't have to do too much research because I'm familiar with you. I watch you. I see how consistent you are all the time, just on fire for God.
Like that.
I love the fact that when we can come online, we can depend on you. You are the people's prophet. And I really enjoy seeing just coming online and getting that word that I know I need.
Right.
So where would you say began that passion for the people or to change lives?
Oh my goodness. You know what? To be honest, it really was as a child. It
Really?
really was as a child. The joke is I came out of my mother's room with a Bible and a briefcase. I always had this affinity towards spirituality and success. I always saw that those two things merged together. And, the scripture, Revelation 5:10, and God makes us kings and priests, spiritual and successful. And so to me, those two things always came together. And to be honest, as a kid, I was kind of shy.
Mm,
And especially if you put me in a small group of people, you put me in a small group of
really?
people, I barely even speak. And I used to perspire really profusely. And so you could see that I was shy and nervous. But
Yeah.
if you put me on a stage, you put me in front of a camera, I used to do stuff as a kid, even in the newspaper, different things. You do that, and something in me came alive. I was like a
Wow.
fish in water.
Wow.
And sometimes those things that we naturally do are an indicator of the things we're created to do. So to
Yes.
be honest, it's been like this since I was a kid. When I was in elementary school, born in Denver, but raised in Memphis, and then
Okay.
we're back to Denver, and now in Atlanta.
Mhm.
But I was the spokesperson for Smuckers, that corporation in
Oh
Memphis.
my
So
goodness.
they came to Memphis City Schools and they were looking for a spokesperson. And
Yeah.
I was a different kid. I always gravitated to build relationship with people in seats of power.
Okay.
So while everybody else was trying to be cool with one another, I was like, I want to be cool with the teachers. I
I
want to
know
be
that's
cool with the principal. Like
with the
let them
leaders.
be my friends. That's kind of how
Wow.
I saw it. And that was another indicator that I would sit in seats of power and influence
Mm.
people in authority. To me it made sense. I was like, well, why would I focus all of my energy being friends with my peers? I should be
Right.
reaching higher and connecting with those that have
Absolutely.
authority. And so because of
Wow.
those relationships, when Smuckers was looking for a spokesperson at Dunbar Elementary School in Memphis. So shout out if you're from Memphis, shout out, let me know that. But Dunbar Elementary School, and they made me the spokesman. So we got the perfect kid, we got the perfect guy. And when I was on that stage, I just saw myself doing that type of a thing. And I
Yeah.
didn't realize how it would materialize and manifest later in life as the people's bishop, as they call me, because I love people. I love empowering
That's
people, building
beautiful.
people, strengthening people, giving people practical tools to see results in their life. And so it's really been that way. Honestly,
Natural.
I don't know another way.
Oh my goodness, that's beautiful. So it just came natural as a
Yep.
kid. You
Yep.
gravitated toward leaders
Yep.
and not fitting in the crowd. That's
Right.
beautiful.
Right.
That's
It really
awesome.
was. And I think back, there was when I was in second grade at Dunbar, there was a classmate. His name was Calvin. I don't remember his last name. His name was Calvin.
Uh-huh.
And he was sort of known as, like, the tough guy. Now, crazy enough, he was the smallest kid in school. I mean, he was small, but that gave him, sometimes there's an overcompensation. So that made
Right.
him like this guy. And so we used to joke as a kid, like he was my head of security. And so he would be going around, you good? You good? They ain't messing with you. They ain't messing with you. You good? You
Oh,
good? Is there a problem? And it was always like that. I mean, I did student council
wow.
stuff when I was in junior high. I would walk around the school campus looking at issues that students had. And I was like, okay, I'm going to check with so
Whoa.
and so. I'm going to go meet with Principal so and so about that. I'm going to check with so and so. I was the counselor, the lawyer, the doctor, the pastor, the
My
choir
goodness.
leader. Like, it just, when I think back, my
Yeah,
whole life has been about what I could do to add value to the lives of other people. It's
that's
been my whole
beautiful.
life.
So it just came natural because for some people it was a situation or
Right,
something that hurt them, and they
right,
wanted to regain back that consciousness through helping other people. But for
right,
you, it was just this natural flow from a kid.
right.
That is awesome.
Right.
That
It
is
really, really
awesome.
was. And you want to know something I found out this year that when
Hmm.
I was a child, when my mother was pregnant with me, she prayed a very similar prayer that Hannah did. Hannah's prayer was, if you give me a child, I'll give him back to you.
Awesome.
And because she couldn't, the Bible says she couldn't produce, and she was taunted by her rival Penina.
Hmm.
She goes, she's at church, and Samuel, the man of God, sees her, and he thinks she's drunk because she looks like she's talking to herself. He thinks she's drunk. And she makes this vow to God. And the Bible says, and she conceives. My mother, when I was preaching that, because my mother is she's my biggest supporter, my biggest, at the
Oh,
end of every message, oh, that
sweet.
was an amazing, every time. In fact, it's been a couple of times she didn't, and I said, are you okay? Everything all right? What's going on? But she's been an amazing supporter. And she said, she only took this year when I was preaching, and she said, that reminded me that when I was pregnant with you, there was some type of complication that looked like I wasn't going to make it here. And she said, I told God, God, if you get him here, he's yours. So really, she made
Wow.
a deal before
She
I ever
made the
came out the womb.
call.
Yeah.
Wow, that is
Yep.
awesome. How mothers are so impactful in our lives, even in the
Yep.
womb. You
Yes.
know,
Oh,
and
yes.
God has a plan for us before we were in our mother's womb. But she
Yes.
helped birth through that. She was like a
Yes.
vagina. That's
Yes.
awesome.
Right. I mean, she
That's
she like a
beautiful.
Hannah. She did just like a Hannah did, and I didn't know that until this year. She told me that this year when I was preaching about that,
Wow.
and I thought that's amazing. And I just think that goes to show the power. Sometimes as a mom, as a dad, uncle,
Hmm.
aunt, big cousin, whatever, mentor,
Yes.
leader of people, you can think, is it even worth it? Like, is it even like, what did I do all of that for? Like, what's the big
Yeah.
deal? You don't know the impact that your yes will make on other people's lives.
That's
And
it.
today, now over 12,000 people have given their lives to Jesus, and or you feel like
Mm.
we're just getting started. But you want to know who that's attributed to? Obviously, number one, the Lord. But that goes back to that yes that my mother gave to the Lord. And so she's now accredited all these lives, all this
Mm.
stuff, this all the things we've done in the community and blessing people and tens of, hundreds of thousands of pounds of food and all that stuff that's been done for God's
Mhm.
glory. That's
Yeah.
accredited to her for one yes. You never know how
Yeah.
one yes can change everything.
Fire. And you picked up the yes and kept it going. And
Kept it
that's
going.
important that you kept that yes going, that your promise your mother made to the Lord, you picked it back up and kept running with it.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
awesome. That's beautiful. I'm getting chills.
Yeah. Isn't that powerful?
Wow.
And like I said, she just only told me that this year, and which I just thought was significant because I was preaching it. And sometimes there are things that prayers you pray, things you say, vows you make to God, that just through the process of life, you just forget. And one
Yeah.
thing will trigger that. And that's why I'm so passionate about what I do. You mentioned consistency because I recognize one thing can change everything about somebody's life. And it can be a small little statement, a small little thing. I remember when I lost, now it's about 120 pounds that I lost all naturally. And I started this journey because I tried everything: slim slow, slim fast, eat all the carbs you want,
Mm.
don't eat no carbs, drink this juice, and in 48 hours, I tried everything, metabolize, you name
Wow.
it. And I wasn't seeing the results. And I would do our two
Wait a
morning
minute, wait a
services.
minute, wait a minute,
Yeah.
wait a minute. You just glided over 120 pounds like it was nothing. Wait, let's pause. You did what?
120 pounds, all natural. And I prayed because I was, at the end of two services on a Sunday and whatever meetings and stuff I would do, I go home and I just be I just
Yeah.
wore out. And I
Yeah.
said, this is not good. I said, I want to live a long, healthy, anointed, prosperous, blessed
That's
life.
right.
And if I can't go, for two services without going home and being wiped out, I said, this is a problem. So I
Mm-hmm.
literally prayed. I said, God, I need to be healthy. And there was something else that happened too. I went to the doctor, and I always encourage men and women, of course, but it's good for everybody. Like, stay on top of your health.
That's right.
Your doctor is not responsible for your health.
That's
They're
good.
practicing medicine. They're not healers.
That's good.
They're practicing. Even same thing with your lawyers. This is a business tip. Don't lie. My lawyer said this. No, 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 no. They're practicing law. They're not the law. You
That's
need to
right.
know that stuff for yourself. I read every single one of my contracts from beginning to end. More often than not, I'm having to tell my physicians and tell my lawyers, do this, do this, do this. This case says this. This statute says this. Whatever it might be, because I don't put my life in the hands of anybody else but God.
That's right.
And so I went to the doctor. That's a side note, but I went to the doctor, did my annual physical. Doctor said, if you have one more, tick up, this will be pre-diabetic. I said, the devil is a lie.
I know that's right.
So with that, coupled with being, wiped out from the two Sunday services and just all of what
Mm-hmm.
was happening, I always had a very demanding schedule. I like it that way. I always was doing a lot and traveling a lot and what have you. And so
Mm-hmm.
I prayed at the end of a 21-day Daniel fast. I said, God, give me a strategy on
Mm-hmm.
how to lose this fat. And I carried it well. I didn't look disproportionate. I looked like a middle linebacker. I looked like I played for the Falcons or something, or the
Okay.
Broncos, so I
Okay.
carried it well. But I said, God, I know that this is not good. I would eat big old pappardelle platters at 10:30 at night and then be sleeping at midnight because that's the way the day worked. I eat
Yeah.
fast food. I was a fast food connoisseur. Do you hear me? You name
Yes.
the restaurant, and I could tell you, oh yeah, give me a number three with there, add cheese, add the whole nine, chop it in half.
You knew the
I,
menu.
oh, I knew it. And so I said, I got to do something different. And long story short, I said, God, give me a strategy. God gave me a strategy. Within 90 days, I lost the first 75 pounds, or excuse me, 75 days. And check this out. I didn't even know I was losing the weight because we were going into the summer, so I was super casual. So, jeans and shorts and what have you. I didn't even pay attention to it. I found out because I went to speak. It was July. I went to speak at a leadership event there in the mountains, about 2 hours north of Denver. And it was, speaking to leaders and business owners, what have you. So needed to be in a suit. So I went to put my suit on, and I'm looking at the sleeves, and the sleeves are hanging off. It's hanging off of me. I went to put the pants on. The pants look like I'm sagging. I said, "What's going on?" So I looked at my assistant. I said, "Whose suit is this?" So that's the suit. I said, "This is not my suit." I said, "How y'all put the wrong suit in my stuff?" I said, "This is clearly your suit because the sleeves are hanging off, everything's hanging off. What is going on?"
Said no, sir.
Exactly. So I have to go down there. Now I'm gonna be honest, I'm hot as fish grease because I'm saying this suit is hanging off of me. So I have to take the jacket off, put a shirt on. I literally have a picture from that day where the whole suit's hanging off of me.
Mm-hmm.
On the way back down to Denver, I say, let's stop. I need to get a scale because I don't know something's going on and I don't know. I get the scale, 75 pounds gone. I said, what's this? And then the additional weight shed from there. And I just made some simple changes. I stopped eating after 6 before intermittent fasting was a trend. It didn't
Okay.
even have a name. It was just, I'm not eating after 6. Stopped eating fast food, lots of other things. In fact, I did a whole master class, a webinar on it, what I
Wow.
did all natural. And now the total amount of fat loss is probably 120 plus pounds. I got into the gym. So, muscle weighs more than fat. So that
Yeah.
fluctuates a bit. But the me that I am is the me that I made because I decided that things had to be, different. And I decided that I don't just want to be spiritual. I wanted a 360 life that was healthy.
Yeah.
Healthy financially, healthy
Yes.
relationally, healthy business wise. I wanted everything to be healthy, not perfect, but
Mm-hmm.
healthy.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That is awesome. A lot of people, when they see a bishop or preacher, someone in leadership, they don't really dig into that physical side of
Hmm.
that's important too. You, as a
Hmm.
true man of God, you are protecting everything that God gave you.
Right, absolutely. And I think that's so
Everything.
important to recognize that, like, if you're not good, nothing you do is going to be good. If you're not healthy,
Right, right.
everything that comes out of you will be unhealthy. And I think that's important. And so to me, and you
Mm-hmm.
want to know what was really interesting, as I began to shed the fat. And then when I was fully aware of it, I recognized there was some bitterness that I had picked up on my journey as a
Mhm.
shepherd. You know, a lot of times people talk about church hurt and they've been hurt in church and they got hurt.
Yes.
Here's what
Yes.
I can tell you, being on both sides, being a leader since 12 in church and then being in church, being on
Hmm.
both sides, is that majority of the church hurt is from the sheep to the shepherd. Sheep have teeth. And can I be honest? Some of
That's
those sheep have
facts.
grills. They
That's
got grills. They got grills and they will bite. The
that's a
things that
fact.
people would say and do. And this is what I didn't want to be a pastor. Like some people, this is what they do. They will go online, print them an ordination, they would do all this kind of crazy stuff. I didn't want to be a pastor. I
Wow.
got into ministry at 12, same year I started my first business, and I got into music. So I was a drummer, learned to play keys, started doing choir stuff. They eventually inducted me into the Colorado Gospel Music Hall of Fame. I was honored for that. Didn't even know we
Okay.
had one until they inducted me in it. That was a great honor. I was good doing that. Plus, I had my business. I was traveling and doing organizational management. I was in the finance world, mortgage finance world. I was doing exceptionally well. These two things ran in tandem. I was like, God, I'm good. I do not want to be a senior pastor. I said, because I see the way they talk about and the way they get talked about, the way they get treated, the way they get handled. I
Mhm.
said, you can keep that, God. I said, because let me tell you listen, I am bougie unapologetically, but Lord, I got some Memphis still on the inside of me.
Yes.
So I just said they come to me like that. It's gonna be a totally different discussion. We're gonna do it in love and we're gonna do
Wow.
it in Jesus' name, but they gonna know what's up. And so
Right.
at the end of the day, it to me, it was just so important that I recognized that. And so through that journey, there was bitterness that got picked up that I didn't know. And as I began to get healthy physically, I was able to see that there were some things in my soul, my mind, thoughts, will, and emotions that I didn't even know were there. And those two things work together. So that's why I always say it's not enough to just be super spiritual, but you're not well physically because you don't know what those two things you got going on. And it's
That's
not good to
right.
just be spiritual or physical. What about your soul, your mind, thoughts, will, and emotions? What about your mental health?
So
What
when
about
you shed this weight, you start to shed things mentally?
Absolutely. I didn't know that I was mad.
Wow.
Because when you're a boss, you just got to keep it moving. Bosses have to lead and bleed at the same time. And let me say to everybody, that's the job. That's what you signed up for, whether you knew you signed up for it or not. You've got to lead and bleed. And the problem is that because you're leading while bleeding, sometimes you don't realize that the bleeding has gotten to a point to where you need to actually go address it. You need to actually go look at it.
That
And sometimes some of your decisions, some of what you do, it's being made from a place that you don't even know has got bitterness. And what's bitterness? It's the residue of a painful experience. So it's got residue on it. And you don't even know that you have the residue on it because you just, boop, I got to do this, boop, I got to do this, boop, I got to do this. I bet right
yes.
now there's tons of people listening, watching, however they're consuming this, that if you really or to step back, you would say, you know what? I got some stuff. I got some junk in my trunk that I need to
Yes.
deal with. And that doesn't make you less of a believer, less of a Christian. It doesn't make you weak. You know what? It makes you strong.
That's right.
Strong people can see themselves and check themselves and correct themselves. That's Bible.
Mm. That's what Boss Babes Healing is all about. You hit it on the nail. Running a business, being a boss, and
Mm,
realizing you have to slow down and heal at some point. You don't
correct.
want to bleed out on your clients or bleed out
Correct.
on your flock or
Right.
contradict what God has set you out to do. That
Mm-hmm.
is awesome. That's key. I
Yeah.
love that. I love
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
you're this natural born leader.
Yeah.
You're starting off businesses at 12 years old. You're
12.
shedding
That's when I
all
said my
the
first one.
my goodness, you're shedding all this weight. You're now consciously realizing that mentally I need to slow down and regain some of the things that I'm actually hurt about, that I might
Mm.
be hurting others about, and really gain a new sense of yourself.
Yeah.
So now you're recreating the man of
Absolutely.
God and the same
Absolutely.
token.
Absolutely. And you know what? I so I love the use of the word slow down. And here's what I'd say to expand that. Sometimes you have to slow down to see it, but you can't slow down the mission. Because a lot of people, we live in a culture now where people, oh, I'm taking a mental health break, and they're gone from life for 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 months. And I'm not knocking those that may need to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not knocking those that maybe that's the right approach for them. Here's what
Right.
I discovered. At a certain level, what you do is too big for you to have to land at the airport to be able to refuel. So you know what you have to do? You have to do what they do with Air Force One. It can refuel in the air. I can't
Mm.
land. I got to learn how to refuel in the air.
Good.
If I land, it's too many people that are on this plane and that depend on this plane and what this plane does. I can't land, but I can learn how to refuel in the air. And for those that are like, I just need more time. I just need more time. I can't do it all. I can't do it all. Your perspective is your challenge. You
Mm.
needed to slow down enough to see what needs to be addressed. But watch me. But now you can refuel in the air. And
Right.
for me, especially when you start talking about, you've got people whose lives depend on what you do. You've got multi-million dollar organizations and
Yeah.
businesses. That's a very different discussion than when it's just solopreneur or
Right.
where you're just a self-employed person. Being a
Right.
business owner is different than being a self-employed person. And so at the end, self-employed, you work for yourself. No one else is dependent upon that outside of you, your family, etc. But a business owner, there's an ecosystem that thing is built, and you've got to lead that thing. And so for me, I learned to refuel while I was in the air. So I
Yeah.
learned things that were therapeutic for me. I learned that good
Mm.
conversation is therapy for me. Just having a small group, I keep my circle tight, I keep my circle right. Small
Mm-hmm.
group of colleagues. Iron sharpens iron. I couldn't deal with aluminum people. Nothing against them. They just can't sharpen me. I'll
That's
cut them. I'm too
mm.
much for them. Iron is too much for an aluminum person. So I needed people in an immediate circle, that we could sharpen one another. They would say something, and because I respected who they were, I'd say, "You're right," and vice
Yeah.
versa.
Right.
That was therapeutic for me. So a lot of the stuff that people would shut down for, I'd have a 5 minute conversation and be like, "I'm good. Let's go." Right? I learned to actually eat the meals I prepare. I don't preach. I
Whoa.
don't preach for performance. I preach for principles. And so, if you look at like a chef, a lot of times you can serve everybody else wisdom and guidance and messages and teaching. I was like, you need to eat this first. You need to eat what you're cooking yourself,
That's
because
right.
it's not enough for you to serve it to people and you don't eat it. But let's think about it. In life, most people do that. Most hairdressers' hair are toe up. Most nail techs' nails are toe up.
Slow down.
Most mechanics' cars are in the back somewhere and need work. Most doctors are unhealthy.
Mm.
Many lawyers have unpaid bills. A lot of these credit repair people, credit is toe up. What's the principle? And I'm not knocking anybody. What's the principle? Most people, what they're good at helping others with, they have a deficit in doing for themselves.
Yes.
So I said, you cannot set yourself on fire to keep people warm.
Mm.
You got to eat your own meals. Whatever you're cooking, you need to make sure you can eat that and follow those principles. And so, not a perfect man at all. But the point is that was therapy for me. So I was able
Mm.
to keep the plane in the air and refuel and figure out what helps me. Then I got into the gym. Even after losing all that weight, coronavirus hits, and I was, of course, super casual because everybody was super casual because everybody's at home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I was eating like I normally did. What I didn't know that happened is something happened because I went to put on a pair of pants after speaking at an event in Huntsville, Alabama, and it
Uh-huh.
was a formal event. I went on to put, it was like my tux, and I went to put on the tux pants, and my tux pants were like, "We got to stop." And I said, "It's crazy." So I literally, what did I do? I went to God again to get a divine
Uh-huh.
download, and I think
Yes.
that's a revelation for many people. My weight loss journey, I needed a divine download. Business, divine download. Church, divine download. So now I need another divine download, because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes there are things you're trying to do and
Uh-huh.
you feel lost. You're not lost, you're just blazing a trail. Nobody's doing it the way you're doing it. It's similar, but it's not the same.
Yeah,
And
God.
so you need God. Isaiah 43, I'll make a way. But if he's
Yeah.
gonna make it, that means I can't see it. I'll create a river. If he's going to create it, that means it's not here. So
Thank
you need a divine download. So I
you.
got one. And so it was like the gym. I was like, the gym? Who wants to go to the gym? I see these guys in the gym and they were like head, shoulders, knees, and toes. I was like, I want to
Right.
keep my neck, God. And, but I did that. And you want to know what it became? Therapy for me.
Yeah.
Healing for me. So now when people, oh, it's just one day. Oh no, this is therapy, and I need to be up in that gym. I
Yeah.
need to get my I would do like 15-mile jogs, 2 or 3 times a week in Denver. Since being in Atlanta, I haven't been able to do as many miles, just the way the days are structured. But I at least do 5 miles 3 to 5 times a week. And that's therapy for me. I mean, I get creative when I'm out in the sun and I'm out. That's therapy. I
That,
had to learn how to refuel while keeping the plane in the air because the plane
mm,
can't land. The plane is taking off. It can't land.
wow.
Yeah.
So you planned on just doing violence today, right? That's you said I'm gonna show up with violence.
And the violent take it by
I'm
force.
just
Listen.
I'm just gonna hit him today with all this fire this morning. My goodness. Oh my, those are gems.
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen, learning to refuel in the air is a subject on its own. That's a
Yeah.
book.
Yeah. Yeah.
My
It really, really
God.
is. It really is. But haven't you seen in a lot of what you've done with people as it relates to businesses and even with the work you're doing with this, that many people they know they need to do something, but they don't know what they need to do.
Yeah.
And a lot of people use this term, and it may offend some, but just hear me out.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people use this term balance. And I reject the notion of balance, and here's why. I think
Mm-hmm.
we're chasing what can't be apprehended. And let me explain it. We,
Mm-hmm.
we give 24 hours in a day. On
Yes.
average, people sleep 8 hours a day. That's a third of your day that's spoken for.
Mm.
On average, people work 8 hours a day. That's the second third of your day spoken for. If you live in Atlanta, you travel at least 2 hours to get to wherever you're going. Now, wherever you live, that may be different. So
Yeah.
that's more of that time. You really only get to influence up to 8 hours of your day. You're
Right.
already out of balance. So what do we say to people? Quit your jobs and we're like, no, you can't do that. What do we say to people? Shut your business down? No. What I believe is a better approach to life, especially for high capacity individuals like those that are watching and listening, especially for bosses, especially for those who want to build empires,
Yeah.
those who want to be able to leave a legacy in the earth that's bigger than debt, that's bigger than whatever. What I believe is this is prioritization. I think
Mm.
priorities can be sought. I don't think balance will ever be achieved because balance, by its very nature, suggests that things should be equal and even, and they never will be.
Right.
They never will be. There's going to be seasons of your life where, if you're a parent, your kids are going to need more of you. So that's out of balance. There's going to
Right.
be seasons of, if you're married, where your spouse is going to need more of you. Your business is going to need more of you. If you just
Mm.
started your business Monday, you can't talk about, I'm going on vacation on Friday. No, ma'am. No,
That's
sir. Your
right.
business needs more of you. And if
Yes.
you already need a vacation, you maybe need to rethink what you're doing anyhow,
That's a
right?
fact.
So it's out of balance. But what we can do is prioritize. And to me, I see this listed right from Jesus. Jesus, Matthew 6:33. He didn't say seek balance. He didn't say seek equality.
Mm-hmm.
You know what he said? Seek first. That's priorities. The kingdom of God and his righteousness. And
Yes.
all these things will be added unto you.
Attitude.
So he establishes, if you want to be blessed and have these things automatically added to you, get your priorities together.
That's right.
What's your priorities in life? I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. This is most important, this is next important, this is next important. And I think that's a much healthier approach than
Mm-hmm.
balance, because balance, you're chasing it and you'll never get it. Because it can't be you can't obtain what doesn't
It's like
exist.
it's like seeking perfection.
Can't obtain it. So I know
Yeah.
for some people I'm just seeking work-life balance. You're not gonna find it. What you're gonna do is constantly be like a hamster on a hamster wheel, chasing what's not there, because it's
Beating
just not
yourself
there.
up. Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right. Beating yourself while you're trying to heal at the same time because you're
Right.
not going to achieve what you're running after.
Exactly. Because it's just,
That's
and I think the important thing is it's not there. It's just not there.
it's
The, the,
not.
the concept, everything being equal, that's what balance means. Every balance, level. It's just not going to be equal. If you're a business owner and you're a true CEO, you don't get off at 5. You're done when you're done. Right?
That
And
part.
right until you can build the system, structure, strategy where you can do that. So
Mhm.
initially, I didn't do that. Now I'm at a stage in my businesses and ministry and everything that I do to where now that is the case. Now
Yeah.
I work on things throughout the day. There's a certain cutoff at this time. No more meetings at this time. Nope, none of that. And if they can't fit it in the context of the time, then it is not something I'm going to do, because at this stage I'm able to do that. But I wasn't able,
Right.
always able to do that. And so
Right.
again, if I was seeking balance, I would have been trying to run it like it was already successful while it was fledgling. And if you do
Mhm.
that, you're going to do yourself a disservice, because you
That's
won't put
right.
enough fuel into what you're trying to move forward.
That's right. We have to show up the first there and the
Yeah,
last sometimes to leave until we get create that level of having a nice flow or
right,
formula that we've created in the business where
right.
now we can have a better structure of going home at a certain time.
Exactly. And that's it
Beautiful,
right
beautiful.
there. And I think recognizing that, again, back to prioritization, is right now, this is what it is. But it won't
Mhm.
always be like
That's
this.
right. That's right. So you just finished a series called Restoring Your Soul.
Yes.
What is
Yes.
the concept of that? And can you tie? I think that ties into what we flowed into just now, restoring your
Absolutely.
soul.
Absolutely. So, there's a scripture in Psalm 23 where David says, restore, or he restores my soul. Though
Hmm.
that simple phrase, so powerful. Let's start at the end, work our way back to the beginning.
Okay.
Soul is our mindsets, thoughts, our will, our emotions. Most people see themselves as a soul, but you're not. You possess a soul.
Right.
Luke 21:19. By patience, you will possess your soul. The scripture, Psalm 23, he restores my soul. He didn't say he restores me, which means I am different than my soul. Tripart being. Spirit, subconscious mind. That's who we really were, the image and likeness of God. God's a speaking spirit. That's what we are. This is nothing but an earth suit that we exist in. The
Yes.
soul is something we possess. The reason that distinction is important is because many people say, this is how I feel, and this is just, I can't do nothing about how I feel. Not true. This is what I think, and I can't do anything about the way I think. Not true. This is my mindset. I can't do anything about my mindset. Not true. This is what I desire, and I can't do anything about what I desire. Not true.
Mm-hmm.
And so the principle is this: I am not my mindsets. They can be reset.
Mm-hmm.
They can be reset, right? If you want to shift from being an employee to a chief executive, that is a different mindset, because an employee is only looking at exchanging the time for a wage. A chief executive is looking at leveraging products and services and other people's time to be profitable. Those are
Yes.
two different mindsets.
Yes.
So that's number one. Number two, I am not my thoughts. They can be changed. The way I think about something can change. The more I get good information, the way things can change. So let's just even use the example I gave between balance and priorities. A lot of people
Mm-hmm.
say, no, I'm just seeking balance. Well, I just introduced to you data that says that this is biblical and that this is why you can't find this, which is why you feel like, where's it at? Where's it at? It doesn't exist.
Right.
You can change your thoughts, your will, which means your desire. You're not your desire. They can be
Change.
changed. What I desire, I used to love dessert. I had dessert with breakfast. I had dessert with lunch. I had
What?
dessert with dinner. And believe it or not, there was for those who know the restaurant Chili's. Chili's used to have this dessert. And one time somebody brought it for me, and I just said, I don't know, this is amazing. They called it a paradise pie. They don't even have it anymore. It
Oh.
was like this brownie. It had coconut and caramel and chocolate. And then you put some ice cream on it, that a la mode. Oh,
Mm.
shut
Right.
it down. And I would have like one of those every other day. I mean, I love dessert
Mm.
until I discovered that I was eating myself unhealthy.
Mm.
So what did I do? I changed my desires. And you know how I did it? I said, Lord, help me not to desire what's not good for me.
Wow.
Eating all this sugar, all this ice cream, all this food late, that's not good. When it came to going to the gym, you know what I prayed? I said, Lord, give me the desire to go, because I don't want to go. I don't like the concept of it. I don't like the smell of it.
Mm-hmm.
I already
Mm-hmm.
told you about the head, shoulders, knees, and toes thing. I was like, God, you have to give me the desire to do that, because I don't want to.
Yeah.
And you know
Yeah.
what he did? He gave me the desire to do it. So, like I said, to where now you can't get me. I don't care if I just got off of a plane flying 13 hours and it's 12 midnight. I'm going to say, where's the gym?
Wow.
Where's my gym? I
That
got to go
discipline
get
is
my
a big
workout in,
thing.
because I have a desire for it. And lastly, your emotions. I am not my feelings. They can be fixed. Paul
Yes.
said it like this in Acts 26. I think myself happy, which means I can pick another emotion that serves me better.
Mm.
That thing is so good to me, right? Because a
Woo.
lot of people, I just feel some type of way. No, ma'am. No, sir. You
No,
can literally pick a different emotion, select a different emotion that is going to help you to move forward. Which means, listen, I can't stop the initial feeling, but I can stop staying stuck in that feeling.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's the whole
Uh,
concept, restore my soul.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Because here at Boss Baby, we always say that your faith can't get you across the street.
Mm,
But if you take on God's faith,
mm,
that's a whole new thing. So now you're saying you're giving people this switch off. Don't try and lead in your own perspective or your thought.
hmm.
Know that it can change and invite God into that. And you
Right.
said you ask God, give me that fire to want to go to the gym. Give
Right.
me the want to not to want to eat these things anymore. You
Right.
invited him in and asked him and had a simple prayer and a conversation to change your own perspective. And a lot
That's
of
it.
people don't know that. They're looking
Yep.
for the answer, and that, sir, is the
Yeah.
answer.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is. Like, and one of the other things that I even pray back to that whole concept of restore my soul. Soul, he says, he restores my soul. Restore, again, store together. Put me
Mm,
back together again because there's so many scattered pieces of me that are scattered in all these different places in life. Part of you scattered in your childhood, scattered in your first marriage, scattered in a bad relationship, scattered in a business that failed, scattered over here. So it's difficult to give all of you when you don't have all of you to give.
mm.
So for so many people, it's like, oh, I just can't get motivated. I'll tell you why you can't get motivated. You're not there. That's why your motivation is left in your previous business that didn't go so well. So now there's this
Ooh.
subconscious fear that I don't want to get too excited. I don't want to get too happy because what happens if I fail? And so when he says he restores my soul, he's putting my mindsets, thoughts, will, and emotions back together. But here's what I love about God. When he puts us back together, he always puts us back together better than we
Yeah.
were.
Yes. My goodness. So if you haven't seen Restore My Soul, you can hear now why you
Yeah.
need to go back,
Yes.
go through this series, and get
Yes.
some answers.
Yes.
My
So true. So true.
goodness.
It was such a powerful revelation. And you want to know what began to happen in that series? As back to me eating when I cook, I began to see there were some ways. One of the messages is called reshaping how you were shaped, or something to that effect. Psalm 51, I was shaped in iniquity.
Mm,
Born in sin, shaped in iniquity. Same guy talking, David. And he says that because he was literally born as the product of a extramarital affair his father Jesse has. How do you know that? He tells you, I was born in sin. He literally, we don't see David's mom anywhere. We see Jesse, his father. We see that David is treated differently than his brothers, and he explains why. They've got a different mother. So
mhm,
Jesse treats David different. Now, that revelation is powerful because most people have never thought that, never seen that. That's powerful. So, what is David dealing with as a child? He's dealing with abandonment issues because where's his mom? He's dealing with rejection issues because his father didn't really want to deal with him. How do you know that, Bishop? In 1 Samuel 16, when Samuel, the man of God, comes to Jesse's house and says, the king, the next king is in this house. I need to anoint the next king. Um, David's not even invited in the house. Seven
mm,
of his brothers are invited in, and Samuel's trying to figure out which one's going to get the oil. The oil doesn't flow on any of them. And so Samuel's like, there has to be somebody else because none of these seven are the ones. Now, I got to pause for the cause and parenthetically insert the principle. You will get more counterfeits than you will fits. The
mm.
enemy wants you to give up on a counterfeit or accept a counterfeit so that you never get to your fit. Because what if Samuel said, this is all that's here, but what if what you see isn't all that there is?
My God.
What if the people you've met aren't all the people you're going to meet? What if you haven't met the people that are going to love you, support you, help you, build you? What if you haven't met your biggest customers, your what I call whale clients? These are people who one of them makes up for 20 regular clients. You
Mm.
just need one whale and you can have an amazing business, right? You just need one whale and you can do something incredible. What if you haven't met them? Samuel's like, I've tried everything that's in here. None of these are the ones. Is there another? Jesse's like, oh yeah. My son David, he's out there. It couldn't possibly be him. No, I mean, it's not. Hey, well, who was the one? David. And
Yes.
somebody needs to say that out of your mouth. I'm the one. I'm the one.
Yes.
I'm the
I'm the
one. I'm the
one.
one. I
I'm the
am the
one.
one. And David literally He's anointed to be king right there in the midst of his brothers. Now, when he says he restores my soul, we see David's upbringing. We see what David goes through. David's doubted by King Saul, the leader, when he walks up on Goliath. He says, I'll fight him. I'll take him down. The king says, you can't do this. So now you're doubted. So now you've not had one leader to believe in you except Samuel. This is
Mhm.
why I believe so strongly in the power of what I do as a man of God. Is because for some, I'm going to be the only voice that's going to tell them God's got them.
Mhm.
I'm going to be the only voice that's going to speak life into them. Because Samuel was the only man of God. And the Hebrew Midrash, which is basically when the rabbis talk about the scripture, says that when Samuel anointed David, he whispers in his ear, you got next.
Ooh.
It's you.
Ooh.
You the one. You're the one.
My God.
But he
Ooh.
was the only one that believed in him. His daddy didn't. His mama's nowhere to be seen. The king doesn't believe in him. His brothers literally talk about him for everything that he does. David gets so frustrated with his brothers. He's like, can I do anything good with y'all? Like everything I do, y'all have a problem with. I literally am down here to bring y'all lunch because daddy sent me down here to bring y'all something to eat. And when I get down here, you're like, what are you coming down here? Go take care of them few sheep. You came to see the battle. What battle? Y'all ain't fighting. Y'all scared. Ain't no fight going on. Y'all are scared. And I think the reason that's so important is because for many individuals, when you talk about restoring your soul, this
Mm.
is part of David's journey. We see the throne, but we don't see the trauma.
Mm.
So God has to restore his soul because there's so much of him that's been scattered in all these different places of life, from childhood to dealing with the sheep, to dealing with his brothers, to what's up with his mama, to happening to his daddy, to what's going on with the king. So now when you look at what happened with Bathsheba, you see why. Your soul
Mm.
needed to be restored. You can be spiritual and have an unrestored soul.
Mm. This hour, this hour is turning into a prophetic hour. You are
Mm.
speaking into people's lives right now.
Yes,
You are telling them they're next.
yes,
You are not only giving keys and gems and answers. This is turning into a prophetic hour.
yes,
You who are listening right now, chew on this.
yes,
Soak this up. This true man of God, Bishop Foreman, is giving you keys that are
yes,
going to unlock doors. This is a prophetic hour.
yes.
Restore my soul is an answer.
Yep.
My God,
Yep.
my
Yep.
God.
Yep. Yep. And you know, I just have to say this because you mentioned prophetic. There are no coincidences. I didn't know that you watched and followed. I just found that out just in listening to you. I didn't know that.
Yes,
And here's what I believe that God orders, Psalm 37, God orders and directs our steps. In fact,
yes,
New
yes.
Living says he delights in the details of our lives.
Mm,
And I honestly believe that for those watching, for those listening, you're not hearing this just to hear another podcast or to just listen to somebody else speak or just learn more about me. That's great. But I believe that there's a reason that individuals are listening, individuals are watching, because one word, when David hears from Saul, it's you. You got next. They doubted you. And I know. And you want to know something? David is the eighth son. You know what eight means? New beginning.
yes,
David, I'm starting over with you. Like
yes.
you're the one I'm starting over with. I know your brothers treat you poorly, and that's why I'm so glad, watch me, that y'all didn't get along because you would have become like them.
Mm,
Sometimes there's things we go through, and I was like this as an individual. Sometimes you want to fit in with groups,
mm-hmm.
and then you don't even realize that if I fit in with you or if I'm accepted by you, that actually means I'm going to become like you. So a lot of your rejection was redirection and it was
Ooh,
protection.
mm, mm,
Right. I remember my mother married my stepfather, and he was really like an Ike Turner person. So those familiar
mm,
with the Ike Turner story, he was an abuser, he was a womanizer, he was all those things. And I
mm,
watched my mother not only survive that, but thrive from that. But I remember thinking, because when I learned that he wasn't my natural biological father, I
mm,
remember praying and saying, "Okay, God, this guy, I don't want to be like him."
mm.
There were some. Now, let me say this: there were some good things that I got from him. He was very charismatic. He could sell ice to an Eskimo, and the Eskimo think that he got a good deal. Like that man would take that ice off the Eskimo's house or igloo, bring it over to him and be like, here goes some ice, and he'd be like, honey, we got a great deal. I'm like, ain't this the ice off our own house? He was exceptionally gifted at being persuasive, and whatever it is he was trying to do. And I remember
Yeah.
what years later telling him, I said, you're so smart, you're dumb. I
Wow.
said, because there's no reason you should not be a multi millionaire. He had his challenges, he had his issues,
Mm-hmm.
and as everybody has to navigate through their stuff. But
Yes.
in that, I learned some good, but I was like, I don't want to be that. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember one day praying this prayer, and I can remember like it was yesterday, saying, God, why don't I get a father like others, and thus and so, what I thought was a good example of a father.
Mm-hmm.
And I then when I met my biological father in my teenage years, I was like, okay, praise the
Mm-hmm.
Lord, everybody. I just said this is not this doesn't represent where I want to go and who I
Wow.
want to be. So the
Wow.
man I am, and this is no slight or shade to anyone, but
Mm-hmm.
the man I am is a man I had to take these different parts and build and construct. And again, I learned from my biological father some great things that I took too. Amazing work ethic.
Okay.
I mean, we had a strong work ethic. Up at 5 every day.
Mm.
In the gym, the jeans. I got those jeans. Look, I can go to the gym. I can go to the gym, lift one weight. Next day, it's gonna be pop out. That type of a thing. So there was some good. So I want to be clear with everybody. If you even in your gutter, there was something good.
Yes.
Even in people who you didn't enjoy, there was something that could help you evolve. The devil wants you to think it was wasted. None of it was wasted. It was all good. But I say that to simply say, when I looked at all of that, and I prayed that prayer, God says, I was protecting you.
Yeah.
Had you been raised by this or that, you would have become that. I
Yes.
was protecting you.
He was
So
preserving you.
rejection is really protection and
Mm.
redirection. And
Yes.
it's not a
Yes.
slight or knock at anybody, other than to simply say, for everybody watching right now, you're the David.
Mm.
You're the David. You're the
Yes.
AC. You're the
Yes.
new beginning. And why is that powerful? Well, Bishop, David had some mistakes, but you want to know what he's remembered for? Not Bathsheba, not his crime with Uriah. You want to know what he's remembered for? The only man that the scripture says, y'all know where I'm going, a man after God's own heart.
That's right. That's
Which
right.
means even your mistakes and failures, God will rewrite your story. So that's not even what people think about.
Mm. Mm,
They
mm.
think about the giants you took down. They
Yeah.
think about the great things you've done. And for somebody, you need to rewrite your own story today. Stop looking at, I did this, I did this, I did this, I messed this up, I messed that up. Mm-mm, mm-mm. You're a giant slayer.
That's
What
right.
did you take down? What
Woo.
did you accomplish? What did you achieve? What did you have to fight against to get to where you are? Because that is who you are. And that's what my
Yes.
life represents. My life represents me seeing this gospel work.
Yes.
I'm
That's
proof
so
that it works.
so prophetic. That's so prophetic because I believe that's the season a lot of people are in. They're in that David season where they're in that imbalance and they're
Right.
transitioning
Right.
over to, okay, I don't need to look at how long it's taken to get here. I don't
Right.
need to look at
Right.
what tore me down. I need to look at how God held me this long.
Come on.
You know
Come
how
on.
how he's been keeping me up this long. How
This
my
long.
enemy really wanted me dead, but God kept me. That's the
Yes.
in between. That's
Yes.
transitioning. That humility, that integrity. That's really pulling people into that next season. So
Yes.
that oh God, whew,
That's
whew,
good. That's
that's
good. You
good.
you know you mentioned that, and I'll say this, and then we can keep it moving. But listen, I love this. Has been an amazing discussion. You mentioned the how God has kept me this long. I think about, and most people are probably familiar with the story of the woman with the issue of blood. 12 years, 144 months. She's got this issue where she's bleeding, and she's spent everything she had on doctors. She's not getting better. Most people get to the miracle. She touched the hem of his garment, and
Yeah.
all of that. And most people shout about that. You want to know the part I shout about? She survived 12 years, what took other people out in 12 days.
Yes.
You want to know what I shout about? And she spent all she had, which means she had something to spend.
That's right.
Which means sometimes the miracle is not, God, why do I have to do this? Is that I got it to do it. That's
That's
the miracle.
right. That's
The
right.
miracle is that even though, according to Torah, it is likely that she contracted this issue based on an improper relationship that she shouldn't have. If you ever look in your old school Bible and you see the cross reference, I know most of us use digital now, you'll see where it cross references to how this issue likely entered her life. That man is gone. She's still dealing with the issue that man left her 12 years later.
Mm.
What's the miracle? Ma'am, you survived without him, without them, without that, sir. You survived. Like, so to me, I think sometimes we look at the end and think that's the miracle. No, the journey is the miracle.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
The journey is a miracle because
Yeah.
you used to deal with that knucklehead, but you wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
now. You
Mm-hmm.
used to eat those things, but you won't eat them now. So a lot of people are looking at, it's been so long. I've been
Yeah.
torn down. So yeah, it's been long. Think
Right.
about how God held you up this long. Think about
Mm-hmm.
what God put up with you this long.
Right.
You
Right.
know? So it's sometimes a lot of people look at the length of the journey, but it's really about the point that you got to. And that's how
Yes.
long it took to build you, to get you where
Yep.
God needed you to be.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? And so not only is Bishop a leader, not only is he giving keys, but he's an author. And he is giving us gems on today. He is writing books like Making Money Moves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay? And
Yeah.
so you got to dig into the man of God and what he is giving you today.
Uh,
We are talking about transitioning. We are talking about knowing that you can refuel while you're in the air.
isn't that
We are talking.
powerful? Mm.
It is. It is. And all of this transitions into people who are bosses, who are saying, I'm at this point where I can't move forward. I'm at this point where I don't know what my next is.
Mm-hmm.
We're even talking to people who have given up and have pulling the failure into the next season.
Mm.
And
Mm.
you're walking with failure and thinking
Wow.
that you can't get past that.
Wow.
Bishop is telling you today to throw all those things away,
Yeah.
work all those things out in a spiritual gym, in a
Yeah.
physical gym. Let all these things go and
Mm-hmm.
really walk into who God is calling you to be.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to go onto Amazon, go into
Mm-hmm.
the links I'm going to leave below, and click into this man of God's books. Jump into the things that he's talking about. Restore my soul. Get into this because you need it.
Yeah.
I'm giving you this today because you need it. The man of God joined me today because he knew that this is what's on the heart of God for his people. And so we want you to be able to eat at this level. And you can't eat at that level until you grow there
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
work out to get there. And so, lastly, I really want to get into, and this meshes all together, and it's going to close this out. Can you speak to the people who have given up, who are
Mm-hmm.
listening to outside voices?
Ooh. Yeah. I'll say this. You wouldn't have to keep starting over if you'd stop giving up.
Mm,
Often, what happens for many people is that they don't see the results that they want when they want, so they think that they're not supposed to do it.
my God.
And I think one of the greatest lessons I ever learned, and I could take this, I'm going to use church and I'm going to use business. One of the businesses that I built, by the time I was 21, I built Denver's largest black-owned real estate finance brokerage, sold mortgage company. And when I started, so I originally started, I was the director of marketing as a teenager for a
Mm,
very large, they had multiple locations of a modeling and acting talent school and all that. Then they had an agency whose sister company was Elite Model Management. I'll mention them
yeah,
because that's where we got models like Tyra Banks and Naomi Campbell, things like them. They came through or had some level of connectivity to Elite.
yeah,
They had a smaller regional type agency, and then as well as these schools around the country. New ownership came in. I started as a telemarketer. I'm quickly promoted as a teenager to the director of marketing. So I took the department as a teenager from zero to, by the time I left, we had 80 people who were working just in that area, just in that department. From that work, I then was recruited to come as a teenager and build a marketing department for this other mortgage company. That didn't work out so well. And in fact, I was like, look, this is awful. But what happened? Something good came out of it. And so
yeah,
I got some skills. I took those skills, conveyed those skills, and eventually built a large organization. We had just opened our second office, the whole nine, and we did really well. We did exceptionally well. And
Wow.
then one day on a Saturday, well, let me back up. Um, while I was working for the company that I pivoted to, secondly, um, I was the number one producer in the office. Now, I was in high school. Nobody knew that I was in high school, right? In the sense of everybody else just thought when I said I was at a meeting, they just thought, oh, he's just, whatever, whatever, whatever.
Yeah.
Right? I was in chemistry, okay, or whatever it might be,
Wow.
right? And or whatever it may have been, right? And so, that was that. And so, at the end of the day, I ended up being the number one producer, but nothing was closing.
Mm.
So I'm top on the list. I mean, because but nothing's closing. And I prayed one day. I said, "God," I even had to get a job making, I don't know what it was, 7, 8, 9, $10. I don't know what it was back then, but I had to get a job working for a company that now works for me.
Mm.
And I used to have to leave school, dress up to go work for this company. And basically it was like a clerical stuff.
Okay.
And so long story short, I prayed a prayer. I said, God, I don't know what's going on. I said, so if you don't want me to do this,
Yes.
and I said, God, then I will know because within the next 7 days, nothing will close. And I will just go do a regular job. And in my mind, it's like really it was there was this thing of like, I'll just go do a regular job and I don't know what the future's going to be. I
Mm.
said, but if you want me to do this, something has to close
Yeah.
within the next 7 days. And I need to get paid on it within the next 7 days. Right?
Yes.
Ooh, he heard me.
Mm.
Ooh, he responded. And when I say God made it rain, rain represents favor, blessing. It rained.
Yes.
That first one closed. I saw the commission amount. They said, "Oh, they're gonna." Back then, they used to use couriers for everything. This is before Uber and all that. I said, "Oh no, no courier needed. I'm driving over there to pick up the check myself." Got that check, and boom, 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 boom. Number one producer, build a great company, etc. What
Yes.
happens? The industry collapses. Not just for my company, the entirety of the industry collapses. What did I have to do? I had to pivot again. I said, okay, God, what are we going to do? I just hired a bunch of new loan officers, a bunch of new people. And I was always trying to hire people to show them you can level up and you can build your life and whatever. I pivoted. I
Mm.
made the pivot and the pivot was profitable. I went through a valley and I was like, God, what am I supposed to do? What am I going to do? And at every level, I continued to pivot. So you said, what would I say to those who have given up? When you
Yes.
hit a wall, it means pivot. That's it. It means pivot. Maybe the way I was doing it, I can't do that way anymore.
Right.
Ministry. We start the church. Denver, Colorado is 46 out of 50 for the lowest church attendance in the nation. It's
Mm.
4% African American, not a lot of ethnic or racial diversity. What do? That first service, we stack it. Now, remember, I didn't want to be the pastor. So I'm already doing something I didn't want to do. We stacked that first service. I've got every dancer, every twirler, every liturgical dancer for those who live all. I mean, they got flags and stuff. I mean, every Christian rapper. I
You
mean,
got it all.
every singer. We stacked that service. Service is packed. No, standing room only. Next week, 7 people.
Wow.
Now, why like that? Because that first week, all these other people went to other churches. This wasn't their church.
Right.
It was 7 people. I said, "Ooh, God." Now, remember, I gave you the demographics. I gave you the story of the area. This is not like a Bible Belt city where you say church and people are going to be like, now, what's going on over there? No, this is like church. They think Jesus is who I'm talking about, not Jesus. This is a very unchurched area, de-church area, unchurched and de-church. What happens? I continue. I say, okay, God, you have to provide. You have to do this. You have to do this. I said, because you have to show me that you're with me. And some of you just need to pray Gideon prayer. God, show me that you're with me. And he's
Mm.
going to show you that he's with you. And what happened? Now, I'll cut to the end. We'll cut across the field. 12,000 plus decisions later, almost $1 million given in missions later, to
Mm.
almost 250,000 pounds of clothing and another 250,000 pounds of food. All that's on our website at bishopforeman.com. Later, I can tell you he's with me.
That's right. That's
And I
right.
can tell you that all I had to do was pivot. There's so many steps in my journey. So the person that feels like quitting, pivot. That's
That's
your
right.
answer.
That's right. That's right. Pivot. And
Yeah.
we thank you for joining us today. Um, oof, just a moment of silence
Ah,
because my goodness, the gems, the fire, the
man.
violence you chose today. My
Yeah.
God. So what is next? What can we look forward to? What are you transitioning to?
Great question. So we've got I would encourage everybody to connect with us at bishopforeman.com because everything is there. They can connect, see everything about Harvest Church, which we're going to be here soon. Harvest is becoming History Makers Church. We've been preparing for a while. It's the next evolution in who we are. We're a hybrid church
Yeah.
and building send online, so people are connected from everywhere across America, around the world. In addition to that, we've got all the books that you made reference to. Those are on bishopforeman.com, and people can connect on social at bishopforeman.com. But as people are seeing this, if you're in the Atlanta area or you can get to the Atlanta area, we're going to be doing something. We haven't formally launched the church here in Atlanta. We've just been building our initial launch team. That's a whole
Mhm.
another podcast episode about laying foundation. But and in
Yes.
doing so, we've got something called the History Makers Revival coming up. It is going to
Mm.
be powerful. And it's going to be on the weekend of my birthday, which I listen. In Denver, they've given me a holiday, October 16th, which is Bishop Kevin Foreman Day in Denver, Colorado, and
Wow.
Aurora, Colorado, which is right around the same time of my birthday, which is the
Congratulations.
18th. But at the end of the day, people can be a part of that. There's so many resources, all of it at bishopforeman, FOREMAN.com, or people can also just follow me on social. And if you're watching this or saw this, send me a message. They don't call me the people's bishop for nothing. I love to engage with people, and I get about
Yes.
4,500 messages a day. So it'll take me a minute to respond, but I will respond because I love to know what you got out of the episode, how it blessed you, because at the end of the day, I want to stand before God and say, Sir, I reached as many as I could with
Mm,
your good news. And the good news wasn't just that when they died, they know where they're going, but they lived well while they were
mm.
here.
Thank you. Thank you.
My
That's
pleasure.
that's
Thank
the
you.
only thing I could close with is thank you, Bishop Kevin Foreman, for
Thank you.
gracing us with those tools, those gems, and those answers. And a lot of people are going to leave this episode being able to open the doors that were stuck for so many years. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you for
Thank you for
joining
having me.
us. We'll see you next time. Peace.